Hey YouTube, how's it going? Mevlin back here again with another Alchemy Stars video, and for this one we're going to be talking about the new heroes that are coming with the new event in the game. So it's going to be Sinsa and Eve. Both of these are 6-star characters and they're going to be in the banner, and we're also going to be talking about Dawn, who is a free 5-star character. Couple of disclaimers before we get started. I don't have Sinsa and Eve in my account, and honestly I don't really care for them. After looking at their kits, I've come to decide that this might be a pass for me. I'm gonna do a 10 pull, see if I'm gonna get them, but aside from that I'm probably not going to be swiping because I don't think they're truly mandatory in your team. But second disclaimer is that if you really want this hero, just remember this is a PvE game. There's no PvP, you don't have to min-max so much. If Sinsa is your husbando or if your Eve is your waifu, then you should definitely pull for these characters because that should be your highest priority. We can look at their kits in game, but I'm actually going to be using a website that has a better view of their kits, and if you want the link for that, that will be in the description below. So right as I was making this video, it looks like we're getting another event. This one is going to be a follow event, and it looks like we're getting a grand total of 1200 lum amber and a couple of pretty good goodies for reaching 400,000 followers. Alright guys, tell your friends, tell your mom, go tell your dog to go play Alchemy Stars and follow them on Twitter because I want 1200 lum amber. So let's get Dawn out of the way. She is your free forest 5-star sniper, and I could definitely see why she is free. She's not that bad though, but I think in the long term you're going to be replacing her with someone else eventually. She is probably a good hero to start with, sort of like Vice, how you have her at the beginning and then you replace her later. She kind of feels that role in Forest, and that if you don't have a good Forest DPS, you could start using her for a bit, maybe get her to Ascension 2 and then replace her later on once you get a better Forest character. So what she does is that she's really good at AoE. She's very good at hitting mobs that are scattered all across the board. Her active skill deals damage to all enemies. It does 200% damage, not that high, not that great, but the fact that it deals damage to all enemies means it's really convenient. You don't have to worry about positioning, and if you hit only 2 or less enemies, you could use it one more time. Now in terms of her chain combo, again, it's a really good AoE skill. I like the fact that the tier 3 only costs 11 and it deals damage to all enemies. It's actually going to be 3 surrounding clusters, because once you have her max breakthrough, it increases the skill range by 1 cluster, and you will have her max breakthrough because you could farm her shards from the event. And lastly, she has some utility with her equipment skill. She has a little bit of healing, but the thing is, I don't think this healing is enough to make her a dedicated healer. It only heals for 10% of the damage dealt after using your active skill. So how it works is that once you use your active skill, you mark your target, and then once you hit that mark target, you heal a little bit. But the fact that it's tied to your active skill means that you're only healing every 3 turns and you're only healing a little bit. And this is where her problem is. I feel like in terms of team composition, she doesn't have a spot, because you're either going to be replacing her with a better DPS, someone like Meagard, or you're probably going to be replacing her with a better healer. So in summary, like I said, she's a pretty decent starter hero. If your green roster has some holes in it, you could just fill it up with Dawn, and then once you get some decent green heroes, you can replace her afterwards. Next up, let's talk about Eve. She's your 6-star Thunder Detonator, and everything in her kit just screams pure damage dealer. She's pretty selfish, there's no support on her kit, but I feel like she's gonna do really good damage with this active skill. Active skill deals 50% damage 20 times, and it increases damage by 1% each time, which if you do the math, that's 1100% damage. That's a lot of damage, man, especially if you're hitting one unit over and over. And I think it does. Reading your kit, it's similar to Vice, but you know how Vice is random? I feel like Eve over here is going to be hitting the nearest target over and over until it dies, and then if that target dies, it's gonna reselect a new enemy. The skill also has a stun, which is pretty nice, but just do note that most bosses are immune to stun, so it doesn't work on bosses, but it's a nice addition to her kit. And also with her equipment skill, she's just gonna deal even more damage. Every 8 instances of damage she deals with either her basic attacks, with her chain combos, or her active skill, she's gonna do some damage to the nearest enemy. I think it starts off at 40% damage. Yeah, it starts off at 40% damage, but it does go all the way up to 100% damage. So do I think Eve is any good? I think Eve is pretty good. I think she's gonna do pretty good damage, and on top of that, she looks really fun to play. But the fact that she's only doing DPS, she doesn't have any form of support, means she's pretty easily replaceable. And the thing is, lightning is also kind of busted. There's just a lot of good lightning heroes. If you have Michael, you're probably just going to be running Michael because Michael is the god of lightning DPS. And someone like me, I have Wrath. And I don't know if Wrath is better than Eve, but it doesn't matter because if I want DPS, I'm just going to be using the hero that I have. So I'm just going to be using Wrath. And even if you don't have Wrath or Michael, you can use someone like Dana. She's also pretty good DPS. And even someone like Kafka, a 4-star, can be a good DPS as well. So it's hard for me to tell people to pull for this banner for Eve when you can just replace her with a lot of the heroes in Lightning. And lastly, you talk about Sinsa. Sinsa is your fire 6-star detonator as well, and I think his active skill is kind of crazy. It looks pretty fun too. He has insane range actually. I didn't know it was gonna hit the entire fan, so if you're sitting on one edge of the board, you're pretty much hitting the entire board. The damage is a bit mediocre though, but you could increase the damage by getting him at max breakthrough. You get 200% increased damage in his skills, and you could triple the damage on the nearest enemy, which is kind of nice. But I feel like most of his kit is going to be on his equipment skill. His equipment skill makes him a very decent offensive support. He now increases the damage of your team by providing you with some defense break. First off, with his equipment skill, you can now hit your normal attacks diagonally, and every time you hit an opponent with a diagonal normal attack, your active skill or his chain combo, he defense breaks the opponent by 5% of his own defense. And now this can stack up to 5 times, so you can get up to 25% of his defense. A max leveled Sinsa has 1200 defense, so that will reduce the opponent's defense by 300, which if you don't know how damage gets calculated in this game, you're basically increasing everyone's attack by 300, and that gets multiplied by every single multiplier in the game. But there's a huge downside to this though, in that it only lasts for 1 turn, so you have to be utilizing this defense break on the same turn that he is attacking, which makes it kind of hard to use. Unfortunately, there's no way to increase this. Nothing in his awakenings, nothing in his breakthroughs is going to increase the amount of turns that this lasts. But I think it's such a good skill though, that even though it's so hard to use, it sounds like you're going to be dealing so much damage so long as you're maximizing this potential. So do I think Sinsa is any good? Yeah, I think he's actually kind of crazy. His active skill has insane range, and this equipment skill, I want to test it out. I want to see how much damage increase I'll be getting from reducing the opponent's defense. I feel like it's going to be quite a lot. 300 is a pretty good number. But in terms of fire units though, I still think Charon is going to be the king of fire. His kit is just absolutely overloaded. He's a converter, DPS, just all around really good hero. He even has Sinsa's diagonal attack mechanic that I guess fire is going to be the diagonal attack color. But I've been trying to pull for Sinsa. Hopefully I get Sinsa and not Eve. If I don't get Sinsa, it's whatever, but you know, I really want to try out this defense break mechanic, man. So TLDW, should you pull for this banner? I think if you're considering on skipping a banner, this might be one of those banners that you can skip. The thing is, fire and lightning are both stacked elements. There's a lot of good fire and lightning heroes, and I don't think you need either of these heroes. Eve being just a pure DPS, very easily replaceable hero. Sinsa on the other hand has some utility with defense break, which is kind of nice, but it's not super mandatory. I could be wrong though. Like I said, I don't have either of his heroes. I don't have them tested out. I'm just having an opinion looking at their kits. I could be wrong, and if I am, let me know in the comments below. Do note though that every single new banner is going to have a guaranteed 5-star on your first 10 pull, so I still do suggest doing a 10 pull on this banner. If you do get something, that's great, you get a new hero, and if you don't get anything, at least your pity is going to be carried over to the next banner. And that is going to be it for this one, man. Let me know in the comments below if you guys are going to be pulling for Sinsa and Eve, and let me know if I'm an absolute idiot and if you think that Sinsa and Eve are actually OP characters. But for everyone to stuck all the way through, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.